Hi everyone. This week I'm going to be talking about the movies The Jazz Singer and Awake: The Life of Yogananda. So, starting with The Jazz Singer, the main character is Jackie Rabinowitz. He comes from a very religious Jewish family, and he comes from a line of cantors. So his father's a cantor, and his father wants him to also follow in his footsteps. But one day his father finds out that he's been singing jazz, which he doesn't like because he thinks that singing should be only for religious purposes. So he punishes him, and then Jackie runs away. Years later, um, after all this happened, Jackie changed his name to Jack Robin, and he's been trying to make it as a singer. And he's discovered by Mary Dale, who helps him land a spot in a musical called April Follies. So at this point, Jackie returns home and he tries to talk to his family and sort of explain his love of music. And his mother kind of gets it and understands where he's coming from in a way, but his father refuses to acknowledge him and banishes him. So, a day before his big opening night in the musical, he finds out that his father gets sick, so he must decide to either do the show as planned or to miss opening night and take his father's place as cantor and to sing at Yom Kippur. He ends up uh, choosing to sing at Yom Kippur, and his father finally accepts him as his son, and then he dies soon after. In doing this, he also puts at risk his career because he didn't show up to opening night, and they threatened him, saying that if he didn't show up, his career would pretty much be over. So, religion, specifically Judaism, is very important in the movie. Like I said, his father believes that singing is meant for religious purposes only. And then there's sort of a ritual of singing at Yom Kippur. So his father's word is law, and when he disobeyed him, he was punished and then later on banished. Um, Show business is similar to this to religion, in that there are also rituals in show business. There's a certain way you must act if you want to succeed, um, like practicing, for example. And one example, when he doesn't show up for opening night, his career is put into jeopardy. Um, so he also goes on a hero's journey throughout the movie, which ends up with him taking his father's place at Yom Kippur. So at the beginning of the movie, we see him leaving home. So this could be like the separation from his parents, which we learned about in our lecture this week. He finds success in show business, and then after getting the success, he must make the decision to come back home and be selfless and sacrifice his spot in the musical for the sake of his father. So this movie was mostly silent, but it was the first movie to use sound effects and synchronized sounds, and I thought that was very interesting. And this movie pretty much signified the end of the silent era of movies. Um, okay, so now Awake: The Life of Yogananda. So this movie is a documentary, and it is a biography of Yogananda, who is a Indian guru that came to America in the 1920s, with the purpose of teaching people about sort of yoga and meditation. So, as a young child, he was told that he would be a great teacher, and he does end up doing this in India, and he establishes a school, and he becomes a very well known and respected figure. However, he has visions of going to the West to teach yoga and meditation. So he ends up going to Boston, and he starts giving lectures to thousands of people, and he presents his information as scientific findings so that it is not seen as a sort of weird religion and it is more accepted by the American people. And this ends up working. And he travels all throughout the United States and becomes a very well known figure. And he even writes his own book, which becomes a bestseller. So we see that yoga is a type of ritual and kind of a religion that is supposed to affect the body and the mind and sort of connect them to the soul. And Yogananda believes that there is no separation between the self and the surroundings, and that with yoga, we have the ability to accomplish anything that we set our mind to. So another mystical element is that he has visions and dreams that seem to predict the future. So he had visions of him teaching yoga, which he did in India, and then he had visions of coming to America, which he did, and then he had a dream of his mother dying, which happened soon after. So these are kind of mythical elements that are present in the film or in the documentary. Um, so since this is a documentary, we sort of see a story unfold in a different way than what we're used to in movies. So this documentary told us the story of the life of Yogananda, but as opposed to a movie, it's more fact based as opposed to drama based. So a lot of times movies sort of sacrifice the truthfulness of a story in order to make it more interesting um, and more dramatic. But these documentaries are more fact based, and they interview people, so it's more personal. And it's similar to a movie in the sense that it still manages to tell a story and it give a timeline of the events that happened. Um, Overall, I enjoyed both movies, and I'll see you guys next week.